things to do, including to get the Woodford Bourbon Guy here from TikTok. Let's all give him a Bourbon and Ballz hello, and let's see what this is all about. So, hello, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming on today. So those out there, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what it is with YouTubers, and I'm included. Like, for some reason, we stick to what we know, and sometimes we don't venture over to TikTok. But I've been telling people, like, there is a world out there over in TikTok. It's not just for high schoolers and whatnot. Like, there is an adult world over there where there's definitely things for everyone. So if you could indulge us and let us know who you're all about and what exactly you do.
Cool. Yeah, Woodford Bourbon Guy. My real name is Jay. I'm Woodford Bourbon Guy because I live in Woodford County, Kentucky. I grew up in Woodford County. I graduated from Woodford County High School. There are 3 predominant distilleries in Woodford County, one being Woodford Reserve, Castle and Key, which is formerly Old Taylor, and Glens Creek Distillery, which is formerly Old Crow. So that's where I grew up. I grew up down about a half a mile from Old Taylor, which is now Castle and Key. If you've ever done those tours, you kind of know where I grew up. That was an abandoned distillery. Same with LeBreau and Graham, which is now Woodford Reserve. That was abandoned. That didn't reopen until 94, 95 timeframe, which I was already out of high school by that point. So I'm Woodford Bourbon Guy for that reason. I'm not a huge fan of Woodford Reserve. That's usually one of the first questions I get when I'm live on TikTok. But I'm Woodford Bourbon Guy to pay homage to Woodford County, where I live, still reside, and grew up. So there's that. And I do a lot. I started on TikTok. I have ventured into Instagram. I do post on YouTube. A lot of my content is very similar between the 3 platforms. I do have my own Facebook page now. And I'm just doing my own thing. And yes, there is a big world of bourbon folks on TikTok. I've got about 12.2 thousand followers on TikTok, and that's where I'm probably have the most. And then I think I have a little over 1,000 on Instagram, and then I don't even know if I have but a handful on YouTube. So
I mean, I tell people that all the time. So now that you kind of validated it, there is that world over on TikTok that people, I think, sometimes feel that they don't venture over there for maybe some stereotypical reasons, right? But sure. I've seen your stuff on there. It's definitely entertainment, and that's what I guess it's all about, anyways.
Absolutely, education and entertainment, a little both.
Yeah, right.
Being from Kentucky, I feel like it's my job to inform people about things here, things to do on the Bourbon Trail, places to go, places to see. I get a lot of people ask me where to go when they come in town. So I feel like that's part of it when you're from Kentucky, is you pass along the information. So,
yeah. So with that, have you done, I would imagine you've done the trail itself, if not all of it?
No. I've done a few pieces of it.
Okay. All right.
I'm 48 years old, and I've lived here my whole entire life. So, and I'm actually fairly new to bourbon. I've only been doing bourbon for January will be 3 years for me. I've only been drinking and buying bourbon for almost 3 years. So
you're like a lot of people that we talk to, is probably right around the pandemic, right about that time.
2020, January of 2022 is post-pandemic.
Wow.
Now I built my bar. The bar was built. I'm in my garage behind my house, by the way, guys. I built my bar in my garage in 2020, but I was not a bourbon drinker out. But then in 2022, I decided to venture into bourbon, and the rest is history. So,
okay, all right. So we got to ask those generic questions because, well, we're that way. Damn, hold on for a second before I ask you this question. I see this. How much stag do you have in the back? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah. If you follow me on TikTok, you will know that I have the entire stag vertical from batch 1 to batch 24A, and I have 6 store picks, and then I have 6 or 7 back. I think I have 36 bottles of stag total. They go all the way down there.
Oh my!
Holy shit!
Way down there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I have a 14.5-foot shelf above my head, and almost the whole entire shelf is stag.
I mean, I love stag myself. Don't get me wrong. Damn. That is awesome. So my favorite, I don't know what, I want to talk about this for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
My favorite is the 12, only because maybe I haven't had the 9 from what I understand. But to me, the 12, I would put that up against any stag senior almost, right? Or where would you take it at?
So for me, sorry. I don't have all my batches open. I do like to, for the most part, have a backup if I'm going to open a bottle.
Oh, that's fair enough.
I do have my batch 12 open. I don't have a backup. I treated myself and popped batch 12 because I got so many folks like you that were talking about it and saying how it was a GTS killer and all that. I popped it, and I need to come back to it. And if you want, I can pour it tonight, or I was going to do a fresh crack on a 13-year Penelope American Light that I just got in. This one's 130.
No, yours is not 13 years, is it?
Yeah, I think mine is, but I don't have it with me tonight.
I've got this is the third different proof of 13-year light whiskey that I have, and then I have the 15-year, and then I have a 15-year store pick. I'm a big Penelope. I think I have around 40 bottles of Penelope. I'm a huge Penelope, but I just got this one in, and I was going to fresh crack it with you guys tonight. And if we get frisky, I can go back to batch 12. So everything's backwards. So
actually, it's not backwards on our camera.
I know, but when my movements are backwards.
Oh, gotcha.
So
it looks like that's about 130 proof, 131.4 proof.
131.4. This is the 13-year. This is the original. And if you know the backstory on American Light Whiskey was something that Seagram's did. And when MGP bought Seagram's in 2013, they inherited all of those barrels.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a big Penelope fan myself.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got that. I got a couple of the Takajis. I don't know how many architects I've got. The Penelope Architect it's heaven.
So
the Architect's one of my least favorite, but I do like some of the store picks better than the batched.
Yeah,
I don't like the barrel strength. The red label.
I like the barrel strength, and I like the toasted.
Okay.
The American Light's probably one of my favorites. I do love the Valencia as well.
Oh yeah.
Valencia is awesome.
The Takai, the new 8-year Takai is amazing.
Okay.
So it's pronounced Takai. It's not Takaji.
No, it's Tokai.
Tokai.
It's a Tokai. It's a Hungarian. Tokai is a Hungarian sweet wine.
I thought it was Japanese.
No, Hungarian sweet wine. Either way, it's good.
Yeah,
it's got a nice finish. But it's a rye. It's a finished rye. I'm a big fan of finished ryes.
I'm going back to the stag when they saw your luscious collection. They're asking 16, batch 16 or 22A. You have thoughts on either one of those?
I don't have either open. I've not tried either, and I apologize for not being able to answer that question for you. 22A is rumored to be lost juice from the 2021 GTS batch that didn't get released because it was not high enough quality to be GTS.
See, that's what I've always thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I've heard it on batch 18, the 131 proof, the first non-junior batch. And then I've also heard it on 22A. I've heard it on both. I don't have confirmation on either of those rumors, but as soon as I get a backup bottle of 22A, I will try to help you out with that.
Yeah, I think I have 22A. I'm not sure.
I've heard really good things about 22A. 18 is one of my favorite batches.
I've got 18, and it's really good.
I think I skipped. I kind of went over your question earlier about batch 12. Right now, for me, my favorite batch is going to be batch 14 or batch 18. And it's a toss-up. I am going to blind 12, 14, and 18 against each other and see if I can determine a clear winner. But I'm waiting. There's a fourth kicker in there. And you've heard the rumor that 12 is a GTS killer. So the year that batch 12 was out was 2019. So I've got a friend sending me a handshake of a 2019 GTS. So I'm going to throw, as the fourth in the blind will be a 2019 GTS. So I'm going to blind batch 12, batch 14, batch 18, and a 2019 GTS.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I should have some clear answers after I do the blind, because I think a lot of times our mind gets too involved when we start thinking about which is better.
Yeah, no, I get that. And of course, you all on YouTube want to watch that. You all are going to have to go over TikTok and find out. I'm telling you.
I will probably post a short version on TikTok, and I will probably post the full. I'm going to start doing shorter things on TikTok and post longer things on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to go on that, right? So
I'm taking some advice from some other content creators. YouTube, if you don't catch their attention like this on TikTok, you lose them. They watch 7 to 10 seconds of your video. If you don't grab their attention quick, and they just move on. So you got to grab their attention, show them what they want, and then the people that want more detailed content, the people that want the detailed information about each batch, I can post that on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. So Matt Bykowski is asking, between Penelope and Stag, that's over 75 bottles on 2 varieties. I'm not sure how he did that math, but he must be a math wizard. How many bottles
40.
in the whole? How many bottles in the whole collection? I guess he's wondering as far as
800. I have right around 800 bottles.
Wow. I thought my 500
I just
was a
downloaded
lot.
the Only Drams app, and the only thing I have in there right now is my Stag and my BTAC and my Pappy. And so,
Jesus. Okay. Real quick, remind people who just got on, what is your YouTube channel? Is it the same name?
I am fortunate that I am Woodford Bourbon Guy on all platforms. TikTok,
right,
Instagram, Clap. I'm on Clapper too. I don't do much. I post
on what?
Clapper.
What the hell is that?
So when all
sounds
the
like old ladies turn on the light.
It's a different version of TikTok. It's very similar to TikTok. And so I'm there. I secured the username. I post the same content I do on my TikTok. And then I'm the same on Instagram, even on X, which is formerly Twitter. I've been able to secure my username on just about everything. And I've got a website, but it's free right now, and I need to secure the actual WoodfordBourbonGuy.com.
You better hurry. One of these numbskulls here is going to ask you for a royalty.
Speaking of royalties, your old sponsor are really good friends of mine. And
oh, really?
So Adam at Whiskey Grail hooked me up with my very own, and I did a review on it on my TikTok. I'm a big fan. I even have them in my link tree on my bios on most of my pages. So I'm glad that they've hooked up with you guys. They're really awesome.
Yeah, we saw a lot of these getting used down at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival too. People would actually brought them from the outside, so it was nice to see them even at the festival.
Yeah,
I was one of the first that got the logo. So
nice.
I was one of the first logoed ones they did. They were live and doing distillery stuff, and I said, "Why don't you do my TikTok logo?" And they were like, "Well, I guess we can." So I talked them into it. They sent it to me, and the rest is history.
Yeah, they've ours is like double sided. They got Bourbon and Ballz on one side, and then they got our logo on the other.
Yeah, very nice of them.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know if you were on when we were talking about them earlier. I'm working with them as well as far as they like to come on the show and they want to talk about it and help promote it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still working through all those details. So, but yeah, they were very generous to send us a few of these and help us out a little bit anyway, I guess.
I sent Adam all the information for Bourbon on the Banks, but I'm not sure. I don't think they're coming.
Are you going to be down there then?
I will.
Okay,
I'm attending as just a regular person walking around and enjoying it.
All right. Well, we're going to be that regular people go down there as well. We can't wait for a couple weeks to go down to Bourbon on the Banks, and we may do some footage. But man, if it was half as fun as the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, we're in for a treat.
It's my first time. I mean, it's only I live in Versailles and I work in Frankfurt, so it's only 30 minutes from my house and like 7 minutes from my work, where you're going to be for Bourbon Festival. So
okay, so
and you'll be less than a mile from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, and won't be too far from Castle McKee. We just got back from there doing a tour. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know how much experience you've had with Castle McKee. We did a interview with them last week. I got to be honest, I never was a fan with them at the early stages. I didn't really care for them. It was too young for me. And I've almost kind of made fun of them on the show. But I will say this. When we visited them last week at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, in all honesty, their 2024 batch is noticeably different and noticeably better.
Good. I swore them off in 2022. I bought the first 4 batches. I bought 1, 2, 3, and 4. Batch 1 is the best. Then it's 4, 3, and 2 for me. Okay. Out of those 4, I swore them off. I wanted to like them. All my bottles are half empty. I've really gone through them, and I kept praying that it would open up and get better.
Yeah. I would agree with that. So
another couple years of, and the biggest thing I could say about it back in 2022 was that it was just too young. You got to look at it from an economic standpoint. They didn't source juice, so they lived and survived as a distillery on gin, vodka, and rye whiskey sales. And so they had to get something to market that would put some money in the bank. And I felt like they pressured batch 1 out too quickly. And then but they put out 6 batches in 2022. I believe they did 6 batches in 23, and they're probably on track to do the same here in 24. I did not try the wheat whiskey, and I'm actually optimistic. I do want to try one of their single barrels because I'm a huge fan of single barrel whiskey.
They've got a 7-year that they're going to be releasing this week at the distillery, and then they'll have it available at Bourbon on the Banks.
That was really good. That was
very good.
I was gonna say I can drive by there and pick one up, or I could just wait and get it at Bourbon on the Banks.
Yeah.
I will probably, if it's 7 years old, I will probably buy it.
Yeah, well, when we tasted it, I will say that that might be my first Castle McKee buy since the very first batch, because I kind of swore them off initially as well for the same reasons you did.
Did you try their wheated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was very good too.
It wasn't very good either. I didn't buy it nor try it.
Yeah, it was very good. We tried the wheated. We tried their 2024 batch 1, the 7-year, and the Restoration Rye, the 2024 batch of Restoration Rye, and they were all 1,000% better than those previous batches.
Good. I've thought the Restoration Rye was actually good from the get-go.
I did too.
The younger batches of that were good. I have some friends. They're on a lot of social media, but they've taken a hiatus. They're called the Basement Rick House. They're in Frankfurt, but they did a single barrel Restoration Rye pick, and I did pick that up, and it was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, we met with Will Arvin and John, and his last name escapes me. He's their national brand ambassador. And I didn't know. I mean, Will's he's not a bourbon guy. He's not a whiskey guy. He's an attorney.
Investor.
Yeah, he's an investor. He's an attorney. They had set up a tour for us at the distillery, and the girl that took us around said that he was looking for a passion project. And I'm like, that's a hell of a passion project.
That's code for FU money.
Right. Well, their master distiller left right before the launch of batch 1.
Yeah, so there's rumors going around there as far as, since you are in that area, what is it that you know as far as why Marion Eves left? I know she was on a show later on a different show, and I know there's currently a lawsuit going on with her and Castle.
I don't know if I feel like she's been tight-lipped. I can say what my gut is, and my gut is I feel like maybe she did not want to push it out prematurely because she knew it wasn't going to be good, and she didn't want to put her name on it. That's what my gut tells me. Whether it's true or not, it's
Yeah.
completely a speculation on my part. So don't quote
I
me on
know,
that.
and that's been my guess all along too. Just because she left in a timely manner, I mean, right before the release.
I feel like I think she does really good stuff, and I feel like there was some good bones, and I always, every review I did always went back to it's just too young.
Yeah.
And some bourbons you can pull it 4 years. Well, okay, let me take that back. They are at disadvantage because they are a new bourbon company, a new distillery, and they only had 4-year distillate at that point.
Right.
A lot of other established distilleries can take the 4-year bourbon and blend it with older stuff to make it better.
Sure.
They did not have that luxury to take the older distillate and blend to make a better batch. They were only at the sole discretion of what barrels they had, and they were all 4-year barrels at that point.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I just think that hopefully some of those people who left gives them a try again. I know some of them won't ever come back, but
I will still tell you to this day, it's my hometown distillery.
Okay.
I tried my best to love it when they launched their first small batch stuff, and I've not swore them off. I've just not financially invested any money till I could get some assurance that the product that I'm buying is going to be good.
Have you heard the story about they found an old 1917 bottle of E.H. Taylor?
Barrel.
No, it was a bottle.
Oh, was it barrel?
Just a bottle.
Okay, that's a barrel.
Oh, just a bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, they found it in the
probably found. So, good friend of my family, one of my dad's best friend, bought the distillery in 1998. I actually own a bottle that was produced under that distillery name, which was called Stonecastle. I'm sure they found. His son is still alive. I can actually call him and find out what they found. I keep it close by. It's probably one of my most prized bottles, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world.
I've never seen that ever in my life.
So the reason most people have not seen this bottle is because it's sourced juice from, we're thinking wild turkey, but the reason that most people haven't seen it is they did not have a license to sell in the United States, but they distributed to Japan.
My God, look at that.
So these are all Japanese export bottles.
Wow.
The story on how I even came across this bottle is crazy. I have a guy that ran a cigar shop that I knew from my hometown, and they dabbled a little in bourbon at their cigar shop. This guy walks in to their cigar shop with the bottle, and the guy's like, I don't know anything about it. He's like, my buddy Jay may know. So he texts me pictures of this bottle, and I honestly didn't know anything about it. Long story short is I took a chance for $500 and bought it. And the last ones on Unicorn Auction went for $1,700, somewhere in that price range. And for me, it's not about the money. This bottle is the only bottles they made. There were several different barrels, but these are the only bottles to come out of Old Taylor Distillery from the time that they shut down in 1972 until Castle and Key bought them in 2018 ish, 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, little piece of history here, and take a look at the bottle shape. Tell me what that bottle looks like.
It looks like Michter's.
It's a major brand.
Looks like Michter's.
It is. It's the same. I can put it right next to my Michter's 10. This is a Michter's 10 bottle.
That's amazing.
Before Michter's even was a distillery.
Wow.
That's absolutely amazing bottle. That's got to be your prized possession.
It is. It's priceless to me. I mean, you could throw a value on it, but for me, I told my dad about it. My dad was best friends with the guy that started this, that put this out. And the man, his name was Cecil Withrow. He tragically had a heart attack. I talked to his son on this exact barrel. They bottled it, and 2 weeks later, he had a massive heart attack and died. And his son hand labeled them all after his death. And my friend Michael, his son's initials are on every label of this bottle. Wow. I've talked to him in depth about this. I want him on camera. I want to meet him down at Castle and Key, and I want him to tell me the history of Stone Castle, the legacy of his father, and the importance of this bottle in the bourbon world. I can't get him to do that yet, but I'm working on him.
That
I
would
feel
be
like
cool.
it would be an amazing story.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that they were telling us about that bottle that they found is they actually sent it off to get it analyzed to figure out kind of what was the mash bill, what was, what kind of corn, what kind of, ingredients basically. And they said,
there you go. Look at that shit.
So this is another one of my prized possessions. This is a 1934 Old Taylor 50 milliliter, or actually it's a 1/10 of a liter. So if you, I'm having a hard time, but if you look at the very bottom line, it says a medicinal spirits company.
Yeah.
So this was bottled under the medicinal whiskey licensing that they had during Prohibition. Even though Prohibition had technically ended in 34, this was still bottled under that license.
wow.
So, and you just started this 3 years ago?
Yes.
Holy shit.
So the thing that gives me passion right now is finding things, especially stuff like this, because this is from my hometown. This was made a half a mile from where I grew up. It was made with water from the creek banks that I ran up and down as a kid and fished. We used to run the creek banks behind Castle and Key, the dam and the spillway there, and we would walk the creek banks and come in, even though the distillery was shut down. National Brands owned it, and so they employed security guards to troll the grounds because those warehouses never were empty. Even though Old Taylor stopped producing whiskey in 72, those warehouses stayed full because National Brands bought them. So they were full of Jim Beam barrels.
Wow.
From the whole time. So they had security guards to protect the barrels in the rick houses.
Right. Now we saw the big cement building that was built around World War II. As you leave Castle and Key, you head, was that north toward Glens Creek? That old rick house that sits right alongside the road, is that thing still
is that still operational?
They have, unless they crack, there were several that have fallen. There was one rick house right where the parking lot is for Castle and Key, and that warehouse, when the distillery was shut down, that rick house fell and collapsed in early 2000s, I believe. And it was, so they scavenged. I think a ton of people made a ton of money off of the wood from that rick house. But there used to be a rick house right there. And that's why you see that metal thing across the road. They used to roll barrels from that rick house over back and forth both ways. So it doesn't make a lot of sense now because it goes over to an empty parking lot. But there used to be a rick house where the parking lot is now.
Wow.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I tell you what, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't know what the hell we were going to talk about tonight, but Jesus Christ, we just got a nice, a hell of a history lesson.
I wish I knew more fully about the history, but I'm trying to wrap my head around my history.
Yeah.
To make sense of things that really pertain to me and like I said, my growing up. So, it's been fun.
That was a phenomenal story.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like you. I'm trying to wrap my head around my history too. Because I've got relations to Jim Beam, and through my dad's mother, his mother's side. I think her great grandfather, I think it was Jim Beam's brother.
Oh wow,
or something like that. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to wrap my head around all that too. And then my great grandfather, he ran away from home at 9 years old to run the riverboats, running whiskey.
Yeah.
For real.
It's crazy. I mean, so this is I'll give you this as a lot of people ask me, Jay, why did you start into bourbon at such an old age, or, why did you wait so long? First of all, I didn't like the taste of whiskey. I purposefully started drinking whiskey to have something in common with my mother. I love my mom dearly. We would talk once a week on the phone, but we just didn't have a lot in common. So other than, my kids and things like that, we just didn't have any common interests. And she was always talking about wine, and she really kind of got into bourbon. And I have a lot of other friends into bourbon. I'm like, you know what? I just told my wife, I said, I'm going to start drinking whiskey and make myself like it because I want to have something in common with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing for you guys is I'm going to Bourbon on the Banks with my mom. And
nice.
we're doing that together. So if we run into each other, I'll introduce you to my mother,
Very good.
who is the reason that I started doing all this. Now, I've far succeeded as far as, my collection, what she had. I kind of go back. I have a little bit obsessive compulsive, but it's still cool when I get a good bottle that I can call mom and be like, because I wanted these moments to where I could just randomly pick up the phone, call mom and say, hey, guess what bottle I just got?
Yeah.
I've been looking for this Evan Williams, whatever, for a long time. And I just found one. Or she'll call me and be like, hey, just guess what Wild Turkey Distillery has today. She picked me up the 70th anniversary bottle and had Jimmy Russell sign it for me. So for me, bourbon has given me a means to have more in common with my mom, something I can share with her. Anytime I go to her house, I take my aged in ore little bag with 4 bottles, and I'm always taking stuff to share. And when I'm there, I have stuff, I can try her stuff. And it's just a neat experience. Before she's bringing 4 of her friends over to my bar before Bourbon on the Banks, I'm giving them a private tasting here of stuff they've never had before. They're going to come belly up to my bar. And I'm going to get to share some of the cool things that they won't have the opportunity to try. For me, sharing bourbon is one of the most amazing things. I don't like to drink alone. I never, ever come out here and drink by myself. Every time I drink, I'm either live on one of my social media platforms or some way that I can share what I'm experiencing with other folks. So,
yeah, that's great. That is really great.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being on. I tell you what, man,
We're glad to have you back on because
yeah, we didn't get the things I wanted to talk about yet.
I don't know. I'm not under any time restraints, so we can stay on as long as you want. But next, I'll make you this deal.
Sure.
Next time that we go live, let's plan it ahead. I will send you all some handshakes of some things, and we'll drink them together.
Yes.
We'll try to pick some stuff that you've never had. I'm a big connoisseur of course, Stag, but I'm also a hazmat connoisseur. I love anything 140 proof plus. The highest proof I have 176 proof grain spirit.
I got one too. I got it off of you.
Yeah. So that's been fun sharing that whiskey with other people because otherwise most people would have never had the opportunity to.
Right.
And it's not about money at that point. It's about being able to get it out into other people's hands.
Yeah, no, I find joy in seeing if other people get what I get, right? As far as off the bourbon. If not, I can learn a thing or two, watching them give their own notes and all that kind of stuff. So to your what you're saying is as far as drinking with others rather than drinking alone, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. I'm horrible with tasting notes. So we drink together. We're going to talk about something. I'm going to probably tell you how good the nose is. I'm going to tell you how good the front palate is, the mid palate, and the finish. And then we'll talk about an overall value about whether it's worth MSRP, it's worth secondary. That's the kind of stuff that when I review a bottle, that's pretty much what I'm going to give you. Last week, I did a side-by-side comparison of the new Bardstown Origin Wheated and Weller 107. And I'm not going to tell you tasting notes. I'm going to tell you that it's sweet on the front end, things like that. But I'm horrible with tasting notes. Now, I've learned a lot when I can taste the same things with folks like you. If we taste this and you're really good with tasting notes and you say, man, I get cinnamon, man, I get dark fruits, I get cherries, I get light fruits, I get banana. Those suggestions help me because it lets my brain kind of focus in on some of those things and be like, okay, I agree with you on the light fruit, but I don't on the dark, or it lets me think about them. So I really enjoy drinking with folks that do know tasting notes, because it helps me to start to recognize some of those things that maybe I just don't know what I'm really tasting.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I am. I wasn't very good at it either, and I'm still really not myself. But you got to kind of take that a little bit with a grain of salt, because you start getting that suggestion. I taste chocolate. Well, okay, now I taste chocolate. But yeah, hearing other people talk about it or reading other people's reviews, then I can start. Yeah, okay, I can kind of see that, and it only helps just to keep sampling and keep trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I tell you what, we'll once we got some games, and we got some giveaways to do this evening.
Okay.
I know people are waiting patiently, but I am going to tell you this: we've got to have you back on, because I didn't get to my questions. And then that's not an insult. I'm telling you, this was awesome.
Great. Well, I'm glad. I enjoy talking about it, and it's a lot of fun for me. I like hanging out with people who like the stuff that I like. So it's a great opportunity to get to share what I've learned in the last couple of years, and I'm always willing to learn more.
So one more time for the viewers at home, when and where can they find you?
Woodford Bourbon Guy on pretty much any social media platform. TikTok is my primary. I do most on TikTok. I go live usually a couple times a week. I don't have a set schedule. Typically live a couple times a week on TikTok, and I post frequently to Instagram and occasionally to YouTube. But I'm going to start doing a little more longer content on my YouTube channel.
All right. Well, you got a great community over here waiting for you. So when you do that, we'll.
I appreciate sharing that out.
We had a few people sub already, and those who joined in late, I would strongly suggest you guys go back and watch this episode. It's an awesome story about Castle and Key and the history of it, and the things that I think only he and a few other people might have known. It was a great time having you on, and then looks like we're going to catch up with you at Bourbon and the Banks here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's catch up and get a drink and chat for a little bit.
Absolutely. You got my number. Text me. I'll try to find you at some point. And I'll introduce you to my mother, who is the whole reason that I'm into this stuff. So,
all right, brother. All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.